Hello again. In this video, we're going to look at some of the new features in MMfA V1.2 version 1.2, which has just been released. So the big new feature in this version is terrain elevation data. For example, when we plan a route, then you can look at the elevation profile along the route and see how long it's going to take you. So if we've planned a route here, you tap on it and you use the context menu to open the route profile, and it's shown at the top of the screen. Of course, like everything in MMfA V1, that can be configured to be in a different place. The profile graph is interactive, so as you move your finger along the graph, you can see the red highlight move along the route to show you what the corresponding point is. So you can see along this route we've got a bit of a flat approach here, and then this is where it starts to ascend, and then up in later on in the hike you can see this part along here along the top is mainly flat, and then the descent down the other side. So it gives you a good feel of where the ascent and descent is along the route. Now, if we pull up the edit route dialog here, you can see in addition to the distance, there's the estimated time, and that is based on the amount of ascent and descent on the route. It uses a formula called Naismith's rule, which is for calculating the estimated time for a hike based on the amount of ascent along the hike. So you can put in, on the route settings here, you can put in your average speed along a horizontal trail and then make an allowance for the number of seconds per meter of ascent. And you can put in a correction for descent too. Generally for hiking it's best to leave that at 0, but if you're cycling or something like that, then the descent might be a lot faster. So it gives you some flexibility to tweak the parameters there. But the default ones should work relatively well for typical hiking times. That's the terrain elevation profile for a route. We also have new graphs for tracks. And let's see what we've got for tracks here. Yeah, so if you want to look at a, let's get rid of this one. And if you want to look at the speed profile along a track, then that's also a similar kind of pop-up graph, and you can also look at the elevation profile for a track. So that is the altitude profile rather. So with the altitude profile, that's based on GPS recordings. Typically it's blended with the barometer if you have a barometer, but the settings for that are still under altitude options. And there is actually a new option here so that when you're recording a track, you can ignore the GPS altitude and just use your terrain data. If you're walking on the ground, then that's oftentimes a lot more accurate than the GPS altitude. And then the other option that we have is no altitude. And if you're navigating just in 2 dimensions, say you're a boater, none of this stuff with terrain altitude is useful at all. So if you set the altitude option to no altitude, then essentially that just enables like a 2-dimensional navigation mode where you don't have any of the options for altitude profiles or elevation profiles. It just simplifies the menus there. You still do have the speed profile. So another thing we've done with the overlays list is these dialogues are now resizable, so you can adjust the position and the size of the dialogue to fit your screen best, and the size is remembered so that whatever you find convenient is saved for next time. Also, you may have seen on the overlays list we've now got the search option there, so we can easily find an overlay by typing part of the name, and it'll just limit the overlay list to things that match that search. Okay, there's a lot of other new little things that have been requested. If you check the changelog in the documentation, you can get a full list. But we hope you enjoy the new version. Thanks for watching.